What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unique Experience, part of the Fujibo Heavy channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is John. My personal goal is to own and experience as many unique cars as possible. If you're already subscribed, thanks again for tuning in. Today I wanted to give you guys an update as to what's been going on since I sold my Acura NSX and what I replaced it with. And if you guys are wondering if the car behind me is the same one that I had before, you'd be correct. So for those that already follow me on social media, I'm sure you already know, but the answer is yes. I did buy back my 2006 Porsche Carrera S 997.1 C2S factory aero car. Basically, after I sold the Acura NSX, I was thinking to myself, you know, what car did I enjoy the most out of everything that I've ever owned that can also accommodate a family? The thing is I had a 996 twin turbo, you know, with a roll cage in the back. I had an Aston Martin Vantage V8, which was a two-seater. The NSX was a two-seater. The R8 was a two-seater. So while my wife definitely supports the hobby and she doesn't mind that I do it, I think having a two-seater is just not very practical, especially when you have a family. So when I thought back to the car that I enjoyed the most, that you know, pretty much checked all of my boxes and some, it was my 997 C2S. So I started looking again, and then once I saw the values of what they were selling for, you know, I thought to myself, maybe I can't afford this anymore, because I'm sure, as all of you know, if you've been looking at the used car market this year, or ever since COVID, you know, the used car market has gone up substantially. So luckily I stayed in contact with the guy who I sold my 997 C2S to in Georgia, and I would check in with him every, you know, couple of months and just check in and say, you know, hey, how's the car doing? How are you enjoying it? And you know, once I sold the NSX and I saw the prices of 997 C2S aero cars, you know, I had asked him if he would consider selling it back to me, just because, you know, I'm already familiar with the car. I really liked the way that it was set up, and you know, luckily he was actually in the market for like an 80s P car, an older air-cooled Porsche, which is something I still want to own at some point. And he said that he would consider selling me the car back, so this way he can make room for his 80s P car. So he ended up finding one and buying one prior to me even, you know, buying this car back. But long story short, after some negotiating, I was able to buy it back for more than I sold it for, but that's fine. And you know, I was super happy with it. So essentially I just wired the money, sent an enclosed trailer out there to go pick it up, and then it was delivered to my house. So basically, when I got the car back, if you guys aren't familiar with the car, it was a 2006 Porsche Carrera S with a 6-speed manual transmission, sport chrono, Bose sound system, sport seats, and the most important option for me, at least, was the factory installed aero option XAA. And for those who aren't familiar with, you know, what aero entails on these cars, it's a GT3 front bumper and a GT3 wing. And as you guys know, aesthetics are really important to me. I prefer aesthetics over performance and going fast. So, you know, it had to have aero. And the reason I wanted factory aero is the quality, the fitment. You know, usually you can't beat factory quality as opposed to aftermarket. You know, a lot of the times modifications have to be made, and it just doesn't fit as good as factory. So when I got the car back, I had noticed that, you know, the guy who I sold it to had made some changes to it. He had actually reversed a couple of the things that I had done. He removed the H&R lowering springs, put the stock springs back on. He removed the Soul Performance muffler delete pipes, put the stock mufflers back on. And then he also swapped out the 20-inch Rahana wheels that I had, and put a set of, I believe they were 18 or 19-inch like Fuchs style wheels. And those are the things that he reversed, but he did do some other changes. So he had a aftermarket Pioneer double DIN installed with Apple CarPlay, and Android CarPlay, whatever their program is. It's all wireless. And for those who aren't familiar with swapping out radios in those cars, especially if you have a factory Bose system, the wiring harness to integrate the new radio with the factory Bose is about $800. So pretty pricey just because it uses fiber optics, but well worth it. It's got pretty close to like a OEM finish. It doesn't look, too gaudy or out of place. It's a nice clean setup in the car. Aside from that, he also did some, routine maintenance, oil change, did spark plugs, coil packs, did new tie rod ends, alignment, things of that nature. So once I got the car back, he also replaced, during my ownership, I had an aftermarket front lip that was color matched to the car. He just put an OEM GT3 front lip and just left it the, kind of raw urethane finish. So, once I bought the car back, actually once I wired it, unfortunately he had gotten rid of some of the parts that he took off. So the H&R lowering springs, the Soul Performance pipes, the aftermarket color match front lip. I don't know if he just discarded them, but he didn't have them anymore. He also didn't have the lobster claws, which are the factory wheels that came with this car. So when I bought it back with the Rahanas, 20-inch Rahanas, and with the 19-inch Fuchs wheels. So, once I wired the money, I actually started ordering parts because knowing what he had already gotten rid of, and I knew I liked the way it was set up before. So I basically had to order the same H&R lowering springs, order the same Soul Performance muffler delete pipes. I ordered another front lip, even though he had an OEM one on there. I ordered another aftermarket one. These cars are so low that at some point it's inevitable that you're going to run into something. So it's not out of the ordinary to hit something with that lip. But luckily they're held on by these pressure clips, and they kind of just pop off. So the reason I went with the H&R lowering springs again is because it lowers it about 1.2 inches front and rear. These cars have what's called PASM, which is Porsche Active Suspension Management System. So basically there's a button on the dash. When you press the suspension button, it stiffens everything up, gives you a better driving experience. It tightens it up a little bit, and just makes it a little more engaging, I guess, if you're doing some spirited driving. I ordered the Soul Performance muffler delete pipes from my friend Dustin Brown over at Ultimate Import Auto Repair. They were on a 6-week back order, but he did get them to me, and I had them installed. After that, I got I removed the OEM front lip that he had put on, and I had that color matched to the car. And then when the aftermarket one came in, I just left that a raw finish, just in case. It was just more or less like a spare lip, just in case anything were to happen, which something did happen, by the way. So basically, I did that. After I did the front lip, I did remove the Fuchs wheels from the car and swap the 20-inch Rahanas back on. Luckily, he had actually put a brand new set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's on the wheels during his ownership, and then he ended up, on the Fuchs wheels, putting a brand new set of Yokohama Nova tires on that. I wasn't a fan of the 19-inch Fuchs wheels on a 997 Aero car. To me, it just didn't look right. I ended up selling them to a guy that put them on a 997.2 cab, and they look great. Like I said, it's just preference, and personally, I didn't think it looked very good on the Aero car, but it did look great on a standard 997.1, 997.2. So then after I sold those wheels, I did, color match the front lip. And then I was looking at I pretty much wanted to get it back to the same point of what it looked like before I sold it to him. So put the H&R lowering springs on, Soul Performance exhaust, color matched the front lip. I also color matched the side markers. Normally they're just a white LED, and I just didn't like the lighting pattern because I have upgraded aftermarket LED front turn signal lights, and basically if you were to turn on like your parking light, those would light up, but then you would have these bright lights on the side. So I actually took it to my painter and had him color match the side markers as well. So they still do light up at nighttime. Obviously they're a little more dim, but I think that the color match looks a lot nicer, especially at nighttime, and then also during the daytime when the lights are off. I think that the color match side markers look great. As I started going through the car again, he had removed the 993-911 badge that I had in the back and just left it blank. And, I completely understand it's all about preference, but personally, I feel like you have to have some sort of emblem back there. It just looks kind of odd to me when there's no emblem. So I ordered the same 993-911 badge, put that back on there. Some additional changes that I made to the car is I did the Cypher Vehicle Designs rear bumperette delete. I do have a DIY video if you guys ever decide that you want to do that. And for those who aren't familiar with bumperettes, it's basically the two pieces that surround the license plate on the left and right side. It is a US spec thing. They don't do that in Europe. And the thought process behind that is if, obviously the engine's in the back. If somebody were to hit you in the back, it's extra support for the back. Aesthetically speaking, I think that it looks better without them. So I did do that delete, which involves removing the rear bumper, drilling out the metal bumperettes that are on the bar, and then once you put it back on, you kind of have these exposed holes, and Cypher Vehicle Designs essentially makes a plate that goes back there that they offer. I believe it's made out of aluminum. You can get it in like a gloss black finish. Or you can get it in several different finishes. So I ordered that, I got the gloss black finish, I put it on the car, and the gloss black wrap, while it did look good on the car, the finish of it did not line up with the paint because the car has been corrected and coated. The paint essentially it looks like glass. It's very smooth. It's almost like a direct reflection. And then, when it went down to the bumperette delete plate, it had this like orange peely finish. So I ended up removing that, had that color match to the car, and it looked much better. And it's just held on by like a 3M adhesive. If you ever want to do a bumperette delete and you don't want to go the plate route, I think you can get a European bumper. It's obviously a little more expensive going that route, but I think that it looks just fine with that. Another one of the changes that I made is I did the MC2 rear splitter. So normally when you buy them, I think you can get them in different finishes. I got it in the, it's kind of like a vinyl trim finish. But once I put it on there, I thought it looked good, but then after seeing it on the car, I thought that it would look better color matched to the car, so removed them back off, had it color matched with my painter, and I think it looks so much better color matched to the car. Aside from that, I was pretty happy with the way that it looked. However, I wanted to kind of set myself apart this time around from other factory black Aero cars. Even though there's not a ton, there are a handful out there, and I kind of wanted to just separate myself from the rest. So what I decided to do is do some carbon fiber accents. Now, anytime you're adding carbon to a car, or anytime you make modifications in general, everything just kind of has to flow together. So for me, I'm doing all of it or I'm not doing any of it. So I ended up ordering a 997.2 style GT3 front lip in carbon. I also got carbon fiber side skirt extensions. Both of those were from DTM Fiberworks. When I did own the car the first time, it had a carbon fiber rear diffuser. I don't remember the brand off the top of my head. But then I also ordered a VIS carbon fiber OE style hood, so it didn't have any vents or anything crazy like that. It was pretty much just, it looked like a factory hood, but it was all carbon fiber. I also ordered a carbon fiber mid blade for the GT3 wing in the back. And the last piece that kind of tied those two together is I got these like accent pieces that go on the side view mirrors. So they're not complete carbon mirrors, but they're just more or less like kind of accents that just, you know, go on them. So right now I do have pretty much everything. The hood recently came in. I've had the front lip, side skirts, rear diffuser, and the mirror pieces for a while. The only piece that I'm waiting on right now is the carbon fiber mid blade, and then once that comes in, all the parts will be ready to go onto the car. So just to kind of walk you through, you know, of, you know, why I chose this car again. One, there's nothing that drives like these cars. I mean, you know, I know that it sounds very cliche when you say there's no substitute, right? It's not just a saying, there really isn't. And the whole purpose of this channel is for me to experience these different cars that, you know, people talk about, and find out for myself, you know, find out, you know, how reliable these cars are, you know, what the driving experience is like, what the community is like, what are the common issues. You know, I love learning about all of those things. And I have yet to drive something that drives like this car. The closest thing that I could say possibly is like the NSX. But that being said, it's still different, right? Because, you know, the NSX that I owned, at least, was early 90s. So the inside was very early 90s Japanese car. And for me, I like raw, I like analog. I kind of just wanted, you know, a little more creature features. And by creature features, I mean power steering, I mean cup holders, you know, plush leather seats, heated seats, you know, a really nice stereo. And, you know, this car, the 997, has just a timeless look. And, you know, for me, the Aero really sets it off. You know, Porsches, in my opinion, usually have a more subtle look unless it's a GT series car, like a, you know, GT3, GT3 RS, GT2, you know, even turbos. You know, they're pretty subtle looking compared to, you know, some of these high-end exotics that have just these, you know, kind of really crazy styling, like, you know, the Lamborghini, you know, Huracan, or the Aventador. You know, some of them just have like crazy body lines. You know, they definitely pop out and catch attention, whereas Porsches are a little more subtle, and I really like that about it, actually. So, you know, from an investment perspective, I feel like Porsches hold their value very well. Obviously, you know, with today's market, it seems like all cars are high, but I feel like even prior to this, they've always done a very good job of holding value. And at this point, you know, like a lot of things, they're definitely appreciating in value, and that's always appealing, that you can kind of own a car, enjoy it for a while, and when you're done with it, you know, at least get your money back out of it, you know, at minimum. So, you know, buying this car back, I mean, it's been the best car that I've ever owned, because it has that timeless styling. It drives, you know, really nice. It handles very well. You know, I'm not one to really rip it around back roads or anything like that, but when I do, you know, it just feels so nimble, and takes turns, you know, effortlessly. You know, inside is very nice. It's not overdone, but it does feel more modern inside than the 996 Turbo did, or just the 996 in general. You know, because especially with the upgraded head unit, it just has more of a modern feel to it. And, you know, I like the fact that it has usable cup holders, and it has, you know, really good heated seats, and the Bose stereo sounds really good to me. It's more than enough for me. And, you know, I think it's just this perfect balance of raw analog, but also it feels modern. I'm not a huge fan of cars that are, feel completely computer driven. R35 GTR, I think that's a nice car. Just not for me. I feel like those cars can literally drive themselves. You step on the gas, it's gonna do everything for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It really just comes down to preference. And my preference is, something that looks good, something that can accommodate the family, something that's reliable, something that handles well, something that's gonna hold value. I mean, those are, kind of my requirements, and this car easily checks all the boxes. So that is why I bought this car back. So part of the reason why I wanted to do this video today is because it seems like this is almost just like the last video. I was actually shooting it right before it was going to the guy that I sold it to, and then I later picked up the turbo. As much as I would love to keep this car, unfortunately, I'm not in a position at this time that I can keep it and get something else. So I currently do have a deposit on the car, and a girl bought it that lives in Texas, huge car enthusiast, and she actually bought all the carbon parts as well. So once she actually does come to pick it up, right now she is scheduled to pick it up on January 3rd. Once she picks it up, I'm sure I can, include her information if she's okay with that. And if you want to follow the build and follow this car, I know that she intends on putting all the carbon on the car, and I'm sure she'll take very good care of it. But yeah, that's pretty much, kind of what the 997 is, the story of it. I forgot to mention, I've had the car for over 2 months now, going on to 3 months, and I am enjoying it for now, but I want to focus more in 2022. My goal is to kind of focus on the channel, bringing new content, experiencing these cars, cars that you talk to people and they say, oh, those things are a maintenance nightmare, oh, they're unreliable, oh, they're expensive to fix. The goal is for me to own them and experience them and share my opinion of them, whether it's for several months or whatever it is, because I want to bring this content because there's just no better time than now. From everything that I've owned so far, and I've owned a lot of different cars, the 997 C2S, even though I'm selling it, it is still the best car that I've ever owned. But my purpose and my goal is to own and experience as many unique cars as possible. And I think you guys will be pretty excited about the next car. total, there's 3 cars that I'm currently considering next. And, you know, I've pretty much narrowed it down and have prioritized them. And as soon as this car sells, I intend to go look at the other car, and if everything checks out, you'll just have to stay tuned for the next video. So I know I'm rambling a lot. I know it's a lot of talking, but I do appreciate you guys watching the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video, hopefully with the new project. Take it easy.